You may be surprised to learn there's a nuclear power plant in Genoa, which is just about 15 miles south of Crosse.
The plant hasn't been operational for more than 2 decades, but that doesn't mean there isn't any risk. News 8's Lou Hillman now joins us live in our studio with more. Lou?
Well, officials at the plant say there's always a risk when dealing with nuclear materials. Here, officials say the risk is much smaller than that in Japan. In fact, it's not even the same risk that's been drawing headlines. Next to this coal plant in Genoa is a facility that used to house a nuclear power operation.
This was the first operating nuclear power plant in the state of Wisconsin, but it's been shut down for such a long time.
In Japan, fears of a nuclear meltdown center around the core in the reactor vessel. That's what potentially could lead to a dangerous radiation leak into the air. But in Genoa, the reactor vessel was removed 4 years ago and taken to a disposal site.
There's no reaction taking place, and in order to initiate a reaction, you'd have to have a neutron source. We don't have one on site.
That doesn't mean there's no risk of radiation exposure. There are still more than 300 contaminated fuel rods on site that look like this.
Well, I think everyone is concerned until they understood it better.
Byron Clements has lived in Genoa almost his whole life. The 79-year-old feels safe, saying the plant is taking great precautions with the radioactive waste.
But they've been babysitting it ever since with a crew. It's not been just sitting there.
The industry would refer to our fuel as old and cold.
Chuck Scranton says the radioactive waste has decayed considerably, and the Dairyland Power Co-op will spend the next several months preparing for and then transferring it into these specially sealed concrete containers. They're believed to be the safest storage option out there. Scranton says it would take a natural disaster to expose the rods during that process.
And the most significant worst-case scenario that you plan for in this event is for a seismic event to occur.
Now, an earthquake in the Midwest may sound impossible, but the New Madrid fault line actually runs along the Mississippi River to our south. In the past, quakes along the fault line have been felt and even caused damage here in Wisconsin.
Thanks a lot, Lou. Also, we should point out only the nuclear portion of the power plant is closed in Genoa.
And officials say it was merely an economic decision because the old plant generated so little power.